If you're searching for peace amongst the greenery, welcome to Gab Loves Plants Sydney.
It is the next day, and I didn't get much further with my plans yesterday, but I thought I would get on with it today, so I'm going to bring you with me as I move things around. The first thing I've got to do is to clear everything out of this space so we can get the panels in and start working with it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll just rearrange you a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. It's quite simple. Just going to be moving things around a bit, so hopefully you can see that. Yep, I think you can. All right, so this is the paneling that we're going to use along this road here. So I'll put that there for a second while I move these out of the way. Eventually, those chairs, or these chairs, will go over here permanently when I get a table and chairs of my own to set up so I can have an outdoor dining area here, which is my long-term plan for the area. But for the moment, we just need to get the panels over. So I'm just going to get the panels from over here and bring them out. Yes, you can see the plants, and you can see how in the sun they are, no matter what I do. So that's why I'm putting up this privacy screen, plus it'll be nice to have the privacy. So first things first, I just need to move all of these over. One thing I'm going to have to do is figure out how I'm going to attach these to the wall, because this actually comes out at a slight outward angle. It comes in at a slight outward angle. Gee, it's hot today. It's 29 degrees at the moment in Sydney. And we'll continue to be hot until it cools off this afternoon, when hopefully we will get a little storm coming. Thinking zip ties are the way to go. Put these here. That would leave it flat. That's a bit of an angle. Right, so these panels will go along here like this. Now, a problem that you might be able to see with my plan is that the sun is coming directly overhead at the moment. It won't be like this all year round. And this will give me some privacy. So, how far in are we going to make? Okay, let's see what we think of this. I think that's That's going to look good. Okay. So that is generally what it's going to look like. And I'm quite happy with it. It's going to look pretty. Now the problem is how I'm going to make these stick to the walls. If I put them where I want to have them, which is standing upright, I'm worried that they're going to come over. So my thought is that I will zip tie them together. I might just move you guys so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. But my thought is put zip ties around them to hold them together. But if I bring you over here, I might be able to show you what I mean. I'm not sure if you can see that there is a gap of about 1 centimeter there, and you can see it there pretty easily. There we go. So if you have a look there, you can see that whereas at the bottom it's touching, here, because this lip goes out a little bit, it's not touching. So I'm going to put some sticky stuff at the bottom. I'm going to use some of those Command picture hanging strips and stick them on there at the bottom. I could just make it a bit thicker at the top, maybe use 2 and do it that way. I might do that. But then also to zip tie these together with some bigger ties. I think the zip ties that I have at the moment aren't going to be big enough for that. But eventually I'll get some bigger ones and I will zip tie them together and that will look good. But let's see what happens if I move you over here. There we go. There we are. So just forward a little bit. There we go. So this is what it's going to look like. And you can see here already. Can you see on the ground there? Yeah, you can see here already. It's already providing some shade. Not heaps, but some. And it will provide more as the day goes on, which means these plants won't be in the sun quite so badly all the time. Plus, I get really good privacy from the neighboring units, which is another thing that I didn't particularly like, because I'm sort of in flat heaven, as you can see. But if we come down to here, especially when the plants are growing up it, this will really provide a lot of privacy for me. So I'm quite pleased. So the thing to do next, I think, I'm going to cut off the tags. See, that's what I'm worried about. See what's just happened there? It's fallen forward. And that is going to be a problem. And that's just with a little bit of wind. So when the wind blows really heavily, it's likely to go much faster and harder. Even when I have plants up against the bottom, it's still going to move forward. But we shall survive. And we will fix all problems eventually. But that's going to look good. Okay, so I'm going to go get the scissors and I'm going to cut off the tags and then I'll see what kind of hooks I have at the moment. So I've got my scissors. Sorry, just seeing a bit of a sun. And I've got these command strips, or they're not command strips, they're the cheapies, but these ones which have the Velcro at the end. So I can use those to attach to the wall for now. Then I have some of this lovely Velcro tape, which I can use to wrap around the sides to make those stick. And I also have these little attachers, which I can also use to attach the panels to each other. So let me get on with that. First things first, to cut off the tags. Now let's try my sticky plan with the stickers. So let's try it on this one here. Should probably do it properly and go and get the tape measure and make sure that there's enough space, the same amount of space on each side. So bear with. Nine centimeters on that side. And 12 centimeters on that side. So these need to be a tiny bit this way. Or do they? What would happen if I took one of these and put another one here? And then put this up against here. Comme ça. So I made a corner unit. If I did the corner, that would also keep them from falling over. Ah, brilliant, Gab. Sometimes you come up with good ideas. Okay, let me show you what I'm thinking. So, if we spend more money and put a corner in like this, and then I can tie these two together, and that will make it much sturdier so it won't fall over. Because it's not going to fall that way. The wind's not going to be able to make it fall that way. So I think that might be what I should do. So if I move this over here, comme ça. I think that will work. Oh my goodness, it's hot. That sun is burning. Ah. Let me take you back over here so you can see, because you're going to overheat soon. Move you over here. So, what I'm thinking, yeah, you can see it there. It's not going to provide any more shade from directly overhead, but it will look nice. And I think that is going to be the solution to them all falling forward. Once they're all zip tied together and things. Right, so what I shall do is I shall work on the corner unit first, and I will make sure that these are completely attached to each other, and then I can attach the other ones to it. So let's bring it down. Just see, make sure that these are exactly the same size and height. Okay. Yes, they are. Okay. Good. So, whoops. That's what I was worried about happening. Very lucky it didn't just hit the camera or the iPad, because the iPad would have shattered. I'm recording this on my iPad. Right. Okay. Goodness gracious me. Okay. I'm going to get burnt if I stay in this sun for much longer, so I may actually move to put these together over to where I put the chairs. So I'm just going to angle you over here so you can see from afar. Do it here out of the sun. I'll just move you back a little bit. There we go. Right, now, to get to work, get the scissors. Trusty Diet Coke, never without it. This stuff is great, by the way, if you've never used it. These Velcro fasteners, they're great for plants, but they also work for lots of other things I have found. So anytime you need to come up with a solution, MacGyver it. Okay, that's probably too much as well. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one of these at the other end. And then I'm going to turn it like a teepee. Get a triangle, and that will be a lot easier to put together the other bits. And we'll just tighten them up as we go. Okay, let's stand her up. Beautiful. Okay, so there we go. That is what I want. Brilliant. Okay, now for the sticky bits. That one's not going to work. This. I need to put them down a bit lower. Possibly going to come off from this a bit. Luckily, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, these ones, which are not the 3Ms, are not as strong. Right. Okay, so this is looking good. I have a few more of these, and I've got another roll of this tape. So we should be able to attach this just like we did the other one. Okay, so pre-cutting that length, which should be perfect. Unfortunately, my microphone died here, so the sound's cut out. So I'm going to narrate the rest of this. And what I'm showing you here is, this is my white princess, philodendron white princess, and I was just showing you that it's got a little bit of pink on it, and it's actually very, very pretty. It was one of the plants that got badly burnt and so was cut down. That was 3 moss poles high before the move. I'm sorry about the audio cutting out. It's very frustrating. I'm new to recording videos, although I'm getting better at it now. My latest ones have been a little bit better, I think. But basically here I'm just showing you how I am attaching the panels together. And I can tell you, having had them up now for a couple of months, they have, besides one bit of devastation that I had, which I've got another video about, which is called Devastation on My Balcony, and when the panels all fell over and fell back, I've actually now done a different thing to what you see at the end of this video. You will see that the panels are all up, and I've just got the plants in front of them, and I've actually attached some of the moss poles to the lattices. What I've now done is I've now put some troughs down the bottom, and I've planted into the troughs, and I have a video that's going to be coming up where I show you about planting into the troughs rather than having all of those little individual pots. It just looks much, much neater. It also means that there isn't as much spillage from the pots out onto the tiles, which just makes for a cleaner balcony, which makes it easier care, basically. And the plants seem to be liking it. I've planted them very close together so that I can get a sort of a green wall going. And the good news is that my Cebu blue, which you will be able to see in this video, has finally started to fenestrate. It likes climbing up this lattice, and it's started to fenestrate, which means it's reaching maturity, which is something that I've been waiting for. So I think that this is a good way to go if any of you guys want to have privacy on your balconies or some shade. As you could see, it's not going to provide shade completely for the from the afternoon sun, but it does provide a certain amount, and I'm quite happy with the results. So I originally bought enough panels to go all the way along, but because I've used one of the panels as the corner panel, and that actually does provide some good stability, which you will see later on in this video. The sound does pick up later on in this video.
And when it does, you can hear me talking towards the end about what it looks like at the beginning. And obviously now, a few months later, it's looking much better. But yeah, so basically my initial thoughts were just put the plants up against these lattices and stick them as much as I could, stick the bits of lattice to that gray. It's really almost like an upside down guttering system. I think it's called flashing or something. I'm not really sure. But I tried all sorts of things. I tried the sticky tape. I actually tried some of that Selleys hard as nails, the foam stuff that you put in, because I thought myself that won't damage the flashing, and it didn't, but it also didn't stick. So nothing I've managed to do has made the panels stick to that gray flashing. What I'm thinking about doing is creating some sort of a frame around just inside where you can see the gap, with some wooden battens or something. Just it would be about 4 or 5 centimeters thick, and then attaching them to the wall somehow. But I still don't know how I'm going to do it. I certainly don't want to wreck the masonry or anything. I am renting this apartment, but you can see here that I am attaching the moss pole. I'm tying the moss pole to the lattice. And this is what I have done with all the moss poles. And now that they're in the troughs especially, they are staying put for the most part. I haven't had another time when the entire lattice has come over. It does move around a bit in the wind, and this is a very high wind area where I live in Mascot. So it does come around, but it's not as bad as it could have been had I not planted in the troughs. Anyway, coming up soon, the sound is going to come back on, and we're going to see the after effects. In this, I did have a little bit more footage, which I cut out because there's no sound of me putting in the last few panels. But you're about to hear me come back on. Okay, so we are now done for the moment. So this is what the balcony is looking like. I'll just move back a bit so you can get a wide shot. There you go. So the new carpet is down, or outdoor rug. It looks like sisal, but it's actually very soft. It's called a pineapple rug, and it's from Temu. And more importantly, the lattice is up. So we've just had a massive thunderstorm and incredible winds, which would have blown things off. Certain things did get blown around, but the lattice stayed up. So I think that anchoring it in the corner like we did meant that it didn't fall over. This part of it, the end part of it here, which isn't anchored to anything, that flapped a little bit, but it did not actually fall down or move off the railing, which is fantastic. So that is what it looks like. I've started to move a few of my Syngonian fantasy vines through the fence just there, just to see what it would look like when it has some foliage going through the fence and wrapping around it, and I think that is going to look very pretty when it's all done. I'm just watering with the bottles. I know they don't look very good, but they are extremely effective at watering. So that's what they are doing. I still have to do something with that part of the balcony, so I will do that. But this part is looking good now. Very happy with it. I've yet to do Tommy's little litter box with the wood veneer contact paper, but it's looking good. I'm very happy with this. I'm going to enjoy having a coffee out here tomorrow morning, as long as it's not raining. The birds are coming out, and they're quite fascinated with what I do every day. They come and they inspect what I've done. It's quite funny. They obviously know us, the people who live here, and they watch. Birds are so intelligent, and they're quite fun. They are little pests, because they do make a great big mess, and I have to sweep, and then they make a mess again. So I've taken away, here comes the wind, but I've taken away the hanging racks that were there, because I'm using them for clothes at the moment while I go through my clothes. But you can see all the bird poop along the railing here. They do make a mess. I'll have to clean it, so that's fine. And they deserve to be able to live here as well. So we've got to buy some more lattice. It's an expensive proposition making things look nice. You think you can get away with a certain number of things, and then you work out, well, no, you really, if you're going to go the whole hog, you may as well do it all and do it properly. And I do want to cover up that, because that is very unsightly, that deck and air conditioning unit. If I get a barbecue, I will put it there, and then I can barbecue out here as well, which will be fun. But that's a next summer problem. It's not something I would even consider doing this year. I have to make sure I have a job in February 1st, so I can pay the rent, and then I will see what else I can do. But this is pretty much it for the moment. The plants, I've watered all of them now. Even though we had rain, we didn't get a lot of rain on the balcony here, because if I scroll up, there is a floor above me, and there is a lip that goes out. Now, rain often comes in, but today it didn't, even though we had the very high winds, but they blew away a lot of the clouds, the dark clouds. So we might get some more, or we might not. Something's been eating my poor little curly spider plant here, but it's still having babies, and it'll come back. It got dried out and burnt like everything else did, so those will eventually fall off, or I'll cut them off, make them look prettier. But something's definitely been eating it, because something's eating this one as well. This is just the normal spider plant. This was the curly spider plant. Not sure what ate it, probably a caterpillar, but who knows. Anyway, we will fix it up later on. So there we go. Signing off for now. See you in the next bit.